Modes. We read mysterious names like Dorian, Lydian, Phrygian. And we hear players like Joe Satriani or Steve Vai use modal playing to create sound textures that range from beautiful and exotic to angry and tough. Here's the thing though, modes can be really hard to learn if they're not taught the right way. The first time I tried to learn modes, I was absolutely lost, and to be honest, I gave up on them. It wasn't until years later when modes were explained to me in a different way that they actually clicked. So here's how most people are taught modes, including me in that first go around. You start by learning the major scale. For instance, C major, which has the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and we're back to C. Then we learned we could build triads off each degree of the scale. We'd get C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished. We can build seventh chords off each degree of the scale. We get C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G dominant 7, A minor 7, and B minor 7 flat 5. Well, that's called harmonizing the major scale, and it's really important to know. Next, you find out there's a scale associated with each one of these chords and scale degrees, and they're called modes. The name sounds cool, and you're told they're going to make your lead playing sound amazing. So you ask, what are these modes you speak of? And the answer you get is, well, it's just the C major scale, but you start on and play to a different note of the scale. For instance, the second mode, which lines up with the D minor chord, is called D Dorian, and you play the C major scale from D to D to get it. And the third mode, it's called Phrygian. It's supposed to sound exotic, and it goes with E minor, so you play the C major scale from E to get Phrygian. And I remember thinking, okay, this doesn't make much sense, but I want to sound exotic. And I remember being totally deflated when I played that C major scale over an E minor chord and it sounded blah. It still sounded like C major. And I remember asking my teacher, why are you showing me this, saying it's going to make me sound different, when all I'm doing is playing the C major scale over and over? Now, he really didn't have an answer. Years later, I was working with a teacher who told me, you got to get the modes down. I told him about my previous experience and that I was really skeptical, and he shared something with me that changed my world. Don't think of the modes as the same major scale starting on 7 different notes. Instead, learn to play every mode from the same root note. Different modes that start on the same root are called parallel modes. And playing them from the same note lets you see the individual character and uniqueness in each of the scales. When you start each mode from the same root, it hits you that there's 7 different scales that come from 7 different keys. And that in turn uncovers which chords you need to play over to make each mode sound its very best. Like I said, it immediately changed my understanding, opened up a whole new world. Let's do some playing because I know it's going to do the same thing for you. We're going to get things started with the major scale, or as it can be called, the Ionian mode. We're going to use C major as our starting point, and the C Ionian mode has the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. Now, that's not going to surprise anyone, but if we want to hear the real sound of C Ionian, let's play it over a 1, 4, 5 progression from the key. So C, F, and G. And the scale itself, it sounds bright, it sounds happy, and we all know that major scale sound, right? So here's the first real piece of gold I want you to grab onto. There are 2 other major sounding modes in a key, and to get those other modes, we just have to change one note from C Ionian. And that one note we change, that's the note that gives the other 2 modes their distinctive mood and color that's different from Ionian. Now, the next major mode is called Lydian, and to get Lydian, all we need to do is take the 4th degree of Ionian and make it sharp. So C Lydian would have the notes C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, and B. Here's C Ionian. Here's C Lydian. It's brighter, it's dreamier, it's more suspenseful sounding. But let me show you how to really get the sound and mood of Lydian. A point I want to make here, and it was a revelation to me the first time I realized this. The chords that you play over are what really give the notes you play their context. Playing over specific chords can give you the harmonic backdrop to really bring out the sound and color of a scale. As we did with C Ionian, we're going to play C Lydian over a couple of different chords, but this time it's not F and G, it's going to be D and C. I'm going to play a D triad and a C triad over a C root. And when we play the scale over that, we get that signature dreamy Lydian sound. Check out the brilliant Joe Satriani tune, Flying in a Blue Dream, to hear this exact usage. He makes it sound incredible. So why are the 4 and 5 chords we just used D and C instead of F and G? That's because C Lydian doesn't come from the key of C, it comes from a different key entirely. Now there are a couple of different ways to figure out the parent key. The first is just to internalize the order of the modes in a key. They go Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. So we do a little detective work. We find out C is the 4th note in the key of G major. So C Lydian is the 4th mode of G major. Or we could just ask which key has only one sharp, F sharp. Once again, we come to the key of G major. That's why the chords changed, and that's the whole point. Once you know the parent key, you can determine which chords to play a mode over to make it sound its best. Now the third major mode is called Mixolydian, and to get that, we're going to take the Ionian mode and flatten the 7th degree. So C Mixolydian has the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, and B flat. With that flat 7, Mixolydian sounds kind of bluesy and sort of relaxed, like it's never quite fully resolved, which makes it perfect for long jams and solos. Think the Grateful Dead. And to hear its character fully, let's do our parent key trick again. Our scale now has one flat, B flat, which tells us the parent key is F. Or we can also see that Mixolydian is the 5th mode in the key, and the key with C as the 5th, it's F major. And if we play the 5 and 4 chords of F, C, and B flat, it gives us the perfect backdrop to really hear Mixolydian. Hey, if you're finding out the way that I teach is helping your playing, I want you to know I have a course on lead guitar available where we go step by step and get really in depth to a lot of the concepts that I talk about on YouTube. The link, it's in the description below if you want to check it out. Thanks, I appreciate it. So now that we've covered 3 major modes, let's flip things around and cover 3 minor sounding modes. And the cool thing is, we're going to use the exact same tricks. But instead of starting with Ionian, we're going to start with the minor scale that pretty much everybody knows, the natural minor scale or the Aeolian mode. Now, the formula for natural minor, it's going to be root, second, flat third, fourth, fifth, flat sixth, and flat seventh. And right away, you see this is a big departure from Ionian with 3 flatted notes instead of none. So C Aeolian has the notes C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, and B flat. And just like before, the other 2 minor modes are each just 1 note away from Aeolian. And that 1 note, it's what gives each one its own unique flavor and color. So how do we really hear the sound of C Aeolian? Well, the same way we accentuated Ionian, by playing some matching triads. Just like we played the major 1-4-5 in C major to bring out Ionian, we're going to play a minor 1-4-5 in C minor to bring out Aeolian. So that would be C minor, F minor, and G minor. So if you're curious what key C Aeolian comes out of, an easy trick is to start at the root of natural minor, move up 3 frets, and you get the root note of the relative major or the parent key, which would be E flat major. Now the next minor mode is called Dorian, and we get Dorian by taking Aeolian and raising the 6th degree a half step. So that would give us the notes root, second, flat third, fourth, fifth, natural sixth, and flat seven. So while natural minor sounds dark and just flat out sad, the single raised note gives Dorian a brighter, funkier, and more kind of hopeful feeling. And to get the full flavor and character of Dorian, let's use that same chord trick that we used with Lydian. Now, Dorian is the 2nd mode in a major key. C is the 2nd of B flat. So C Dorian is the 2nd mode of B flat major. And the 4th and 5th triads in B flat major are going to be E flat and F. And what we're going to do, we're going to pedal those triads over a C root just like we did for Lydian. That gives us a familiar Santana-esque vibe. The songs Oye Como Va or Evil Ways, and they're perfect for bringing out the tonality of the raised 6. Listen to this. Now the next minor mode is called Phrygian, and that's the one that was supposed to sound so exotic, but it didn't to me the first time I tried to learn modes. To get Phrygian, let's go back to natural minor. Remember, C Aeolian had the intervals the root, the 2nd, the flat 3rd, 4th, flat 6, and flat 7. The difference in Phrygian, we're going to flatten the 2nd degree. So now we have root, flat 2nd, flat 3rd, 4th, 5th, flat 6th, and flat 7th. Back when I first tried to learn the modes, I played Phrygian over its same minor chord, like C Phrygian over C minor. But there was nothing magical about how that sounded, and that turned me off to the whole idea of modes. If only I had known this. Phrygian is the 3rd mode in a key. C is the 3rd of A flat. So if we do our trick of pulling the 4th and 5th triads from A flat, we're going to get D flat and E flat. Play those 2 triads along with C major, we're going to get that exotic, slightly Spanish or Middle Eastern flavored mood and tonality that Phrygian is supposed to have. Now there's a seventh mode that I haven't mentioned yet. It's called Locrian. It's the one mode built on a diminished triad, and it's only used over minor 7 flat 5 chords. They don't come up that often in most styles of music, so while it's worth knowing it exists, we're not going to spend any time on it today. Remember earlier when I told you about playing E Phrygian over an E minor chord and getting nothing but blah? At one time, that was my whole experience with modes. But once I learned them this way, the same root note, find the parent key, find the right chords, that exotic Spanish Phrygian sound or the floating dreamy Lydian sound, it was all right there at my disposal. That's the difference this approach makes. So here's how to actually get started. Don't try to learn all 7 modes at once. Get really comfortable with the 2 anchors, Ionian and Aeolian. Once these feel super solid, build it out from there. One mode at a time, really internalizing that single note that changes, and really listening for how the color of the sound changes. And for each one, don't just play this scale in isolation. Practice it over backing tracks with the actual chords that bring out its true sound like we did today. That's how it'll go from just information to a tool that you can really use. I promise you, if you spend just a little time with it, it's going to click for you like it clicked for me. As always, thanks for watching. Work hard, have fun with that guitar. I'll see you next week.